speaking of the NWSL, Washington Spirit have fired manager Kris Ward. They did that late last week after an incident at the team's training on Friday. Ward, who coached the Spirit to the league title last year, told The Athletic in an interview there wasn't any name-calling, belittling, or anything like that. It wasn't over the top from a language standpoint. End quote. Now, Washington played on Saturday, so one day after the dismissal, against the Houston Dash. And afterwards, Washington Spirit captain Andi Sullivan gave the following statement contradicting what Ward had told The Athletic. Let's listen in.
We would like to start off with a statement on behalf of the players. Firstly, we're frustrated that this is necessary given our history. Secondly, we are angered by Kris Ward's answers in the piece from The Athletic. We know the idiom that there are two sides to every story, but that is simply not the case in this scenario. We know his interview to be completely inaccurate recollection of a serious situation. And furthermore, the apology offered to us last Friday demonstrates a misalignment in his words and his actions towards his team. The players fully support the decision of the club to relieve him of his duties as head coach. And we have every intention of cooperating in a proper course of action as it relates to circumstances like this one. We will no longer take any questions regarding his dismissal or make any further comments on it at this time.
All right, Herc, we've heard of a campeonitis down in Liga MX, but I am hard-pressed to find a darker example of a team falling off after winning a championship than what we've seen in the last year with the Washington Spirit.
Yeah, of epic proportions, right? Especially the way that everything happened last year, the fight with ownership, the way that people rallied behind this team. And it was like worst to first type of scenario. It was like a major league type movie. They win. They're champions, and then they go to the Challenge Cup and even make it to the final. You've got U.S. women's national team players on your roster. It's star-studded, and the lone bright spot of the season is a win against OL Reign back in May. They've got one win all year, and now this happens. Ongoing investigation. We don't know what really happened. There's supposed to be a video. Let's see the video footage and go from there. But if we're talking on the field, you're going from a feel-good story, not just in NWSL, but all sports last season to this. I just can't wrap my mind around this. Yeah,
and now in 12 months, you've got two coaches that you've had to dismiss for basically how they treat players, right? And that's happened under two different ownership groups now, right? Steve Baldwin was criticized heavily. Michelle Kang took over. This is now under her watch. So it's really, really upsetting for somebody who has not had a lot to root for as a DC soccer fan with DC United. The Spirit was the best story in town, man, last year. And you're right to mention all the talent they have. They have this incredible young base of U.S. women's national team, potential future superstars. They just signed Trinity Rodman to a long-term deal. But if I'm Ashley Hatch, if I'm Ashley Sanchez, even if I'm Trinity Rodman, at some point, Andi Sullivan, put her in the mix. You have to ask if this is really the best place for your career. If what you're doing and where you're trying to go is the Washington Spirit organization capable of setting up a situation around me that's going to get me where I need to go. And right now, based on what we've seen, no, I don't think the Washington Spirit can do it. Last word to you, quickly.
No, I agree with you. And you talk about that talent, 5 players on the initial roster versus Nigeria, 5 Washington Spirit players, a lot of Washington, D.C. ties there. It just blows my mind. And this Kris Ward interview, there are two sides to every story, yes, but how out of touch must you be to say you don't think you lost the locker room, and in the very same breath the next day, here you go, the captain and the goalkeeper right behind it, you lost the locker room.
Yeah, encourage everybody to check out the piece in its entirety, the full interview from Kris Ward there in The Athletic.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.